Hello and welcome to the University of Georgia's Cobb County Cooperative Extension. This is a great recipe we're going to be doing here today. This recipe is perfect for the holidays, or really perfect for any time you're going to be entertaining. This is going to be called a chocolate trifle, okay? So the trifle is easy to do, and guess what? There is no cooking involved. Yes, that's what I said, no cooking whatsoever involved in this dish. I'm going to make it really easy for you to make a beautiful dessert that's going to be looking really, really impressive, and your guests are going to be like, oh wow, how'd she do that? All right, so let's get started with the trifle. A trifle is basically cake, some pudding, sometimes cheesecake, all in one dish together. A traditional trifle is made in the trifle bowl, and this is a trifle bowl. Most of you probably won't have one of these, but guess what? Your grandmother might, because they used them a lot back in the day. This is actually one from my mother, and she actually had two that she's no longer using anymore, so she was nice enough to give us this trifle bowl. So this is glass. You can also find these sometime in plastic, and they can get a little bit pricey, probably starting out at about $25 going on up to about $75. All right, so this is for a large group of people if you're going to be serving a lot of people. But if it's just a couple of people, guess what? You have some more options, and you can make, voila, individual trifles here. So let's see what we have. All right, we'll start with this cute little thing here. And I ordered these in a set of about 50, and these are almost kind of like a little bite size, a little sample size. You know, when you don't want to give people a lot, but just something nice and cute, this is perfect. All right, and this is plastic. And this, believe it or not, this is just a jelly jar. But look how cute it is. I'm a person where I like to recycle. I hate one-use things, so a jelly jar would be great for this. And so here, we just have basically a martini glass and a wine glass, all right? So for this dish, you really don't have to buy anything special. Just look and see what you already have around the house and use that. You can also use a mason jar. Mason jars in any size work great. And the good thing about the mason jar is if you want to give that as a little gift, you can put the top on the mason jar and they can take it home, you know, so you don't even have to eat it there. So I love the mason jar idea as well. So let's get started with the trifle. So we're going to be doing these in layers, and what layer you start with, it really doesn't matter. I mean, there's no right way to do this, so I'm just going to start with, I'm going to use this glass just because I like this. I think this is really pretty, and I think it's a good size, and it lends itself well to doing a trifle. So I'm going to start with our first layer, which is going to be pudding. So let's talk about the pudding. Once again, I said this is going to be really easy for you. These are just the little pudding cups that we ate as kids. Well, I didn't, because they didn't have these around. I'm telling you how old I am now. They didn't have these little cups around. We had to use pudding like this. So you have a choice here. You can either use your pudding cups, or if you want to, you can take just some good old Jell-O instant pudding and make your own pudding. And the advantage to using this is you'll be able to get different flavors, whereas in the cups you're going to be limited to basically chocolate and probably vanilla. This one is called white chocolate, and I think that's going to be delicious. So I would love to make this one as well, but for the sake of time and just to show you guys, this is easy to make and you don't have to do any cooking. So that's the pudding that we're going to be using. You could also use instant cheesecake. You can buy this box of cheesecake mix, and you just add the cream cheese to it. So you can use that instead of the pudding. That's going to be a little bit richer. All right, so that's our pudding layer, and then next, probably the most important layer, is the cake layer. Now, with the cake layer, we have some choices here, and because my boss and I do nutrition, she made sure that I say I'm going to use the lightest cake possible, which is angel food cake. But if you're not me and your boss is gone, use some cake if you like, okay? So we have cake here, and so what we have here is brownie mix. Brownie mix works great. I love that in place of the cake, all right? And then you have here cake mix, which is red velvet cake. That's going to be beautiful for the holidays, for Christmas, for Valentine's Day. So the red velvet cake mix, the the brownie mix, and then you could also use cake. If you had some extra cake left over, put it in the freezer, bring that back out, and you could use that cake. Or if you had a store-bought cake, you could also use that store-bought cake. My angel food cake could be made. You can make this from a cake mix or from scratch, but I just bought the angel food cake already done. Once again, making this really, really easy for you. And this is nothing more than a store-bought angel food cake. Delicious though. And don't think that just because it's angel food, it's not sweet. This has a fair amount of sweetness to it, so you're going to get a good taste from that. So let's go ahead and get started with putting together our trifle. So I'm going to start with my pudding first. All right. A little bit more pudding here. All right, then we're going to add some of our cake. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. I'm basically just dropping pieces of cake in here, and I do want to fill it in pretty well here. All right, so we have our cake layer in, and then how you layer this, it's just up to you. Have fun with it, layer it however you want to layer it. At this point, I'm going to go in with a little bit of Cool Whip, and this is frozen. You could also make this from scratch yourself with heavy whipping cream if you wanted to. But once again, we're doing it the easy, quick, fast way, all right? So we're going to add a little bit more of that to it. All right, get in there. I'm just going to kind of smooth that out a little bit to actually create the layers. All right, so at this point, we can decide what do we want to put in next. I'm going to go with just a little bit of toffee chips. You can add chocolate, you can add whatever your favorite candy bar is, whatever you like. I'm using Heath toffee chips, but you can just take a toffee candy bar, Heath, Score, or whatever candy bar you like and add it to it, or you can break up a Hershey's bar, anything that you have, use whatever you have or whatever you like, okay? And so with that being said, I'm gonna go, let me take a look at it. All right, that's looking pretty. And at this point, I'm just gonna drizzle just a little bit of my Hershey syrup in there, not much. Okay, and then I'm gonna go back in again here with more of my cake. All right, a little bit more of my pudding here. And depending on the size of the container that you're making this in, that's going to determine how many layers you're going to be able to get in here. This one lends itself pretty well to several layers. Because think about it, if you're doing this for one person, how much does one person need to eat of this? So you don't want to have too much of that, okay? All right, so at this point, I'm going to go back in here. Let's see where I want to go here. I think I'm going to go back in with a little bit of topping here. Mash that down a little bit. And I'm going to top it one more time with some of my Heath toffee chips there. And then a little bit more drizzle here. And voila. There's your trifle. Isn't that pretty? And isn't that easy to do? So think about this dish when you're going to have to entertain somebody, whether it be one or two people or a lot of people. Once again, if you're going to be entertaining a lot, so you have a crowd coming over, the whole family's coming over, here's your big trifle bowl. So you can kind of get an idea of what that will look like, and that's going to feed a lot of people. I would say a trifle bowl this size, you can probably feed easily, I would say 10 people, maybe 15, depending on how much they eat, okay? So that's our trifle for the holiday. I hope you'll make this and try this at home. Have a wonderful holiday and enjoy yourselves. And please make cooking easy for yourself. I'm Terry Carter with the University of Georgia's Cobb County Cooperative Extension. Thank you.